The sky above cracked open as a ball of fire tore through the clouds. Commander Jake Morgan's escape pod hit the atmosphere of the unknown planet like a stone skipping across a lake. Inside, alarms screamed. Smoke filled the pod. Jake's hands gripped the controls, but they weren't responding. His ship had been hit by pirates. This was his only way out. Brace for impact, the AI repeated in a cold voice. Jake clenched his jaw. Already doing that. With a deafening crash, the pod slammed into the soft ground of a thick alien jungle. Trees snapped like toothpicks. The metal screeched as it skidded to a stop. Then, silence. Jake was still, breathing hard. Alive. The hatch burst open with a hiss, letting fresh air in. Jake stepped out slowly. The sky was purple. The sun, huge and red, hung low on the horizon. The ground was covered in blue moss. The air was thick, but breathable. Scan the area, he whispered. The AI spoke again. No known human settlements. Life forms detected 112. All female, all moving toward your location. Jake frowned. All female? Then he heard it running footsteps. Dozens, no hundreds. Leaves rustled. The ground shook. He spun around just as the first figure emerged from the jungle. She was tall, slender, skin like bronze metal. Eyes glowing blue. Her hair was long, silver and floating slightly, like it had a life of its own. She stopped a few feet from him, breathing heavily, staring at him with a strange mix of hunger and wonder. Then more appeared. Dozens of alien women surrounded him in seconds. Some wore tribal armor. Others were barely anything at all. Their eyes locked on Jake like he was their only hope. He's real, one whispered. A man, after so long. Said another. Jake raised his hands slowly. I come in peace. The tallest one stepped forward. Her face was scarred but beautiful. She wore a crown made of bones and feathers. She didn't ask who he was. She didn't ask why he was here. She simply said, "He's ours now. Bring him." Before Jake could speak, two of them gently grabbed his arms, not to hurt him, but as if they were handling something sacred. He didn't resist. He needed to understand what was going on. They led him through the jungle, across glowing rivers, and into a large village made of stone and living plants. The village pulsed with life, yet no men. Not one. Alien children peeked from windows. Adult women bowed as he passed. They brought him to a large temple. There, sitting on a high throne, was a woman unlike the rest. Her skin shimmered like gold. Her eyes were deep red. Her presence made the others kneel. Jake stood, unsure what to do. The woman spoke. "I am Queen Terra. You are the first male to touch our soil in 105 years. Jake blinked. What happened to the others? A disease, a war, a curse call. It what you will. Our males died long ago. Since then, none have come. Until you." Jake didn't know what to say. Queen Terra stood and slowly walked toward him. She was tall, commanding, but graceful. She walked in a circle around him, studying him like a rare artifact. "You fell from the sky," she said. "The old stories said a starman would return one day." "I'm not a god," Jake replied. "Just a soldier. My ship was destroyed." She stopped in front of him. "It does not matter what you were. You are here now. That is enough." Jake glanced around. So many eyes watching. So much hope. It made him uneasy. "I don't plan to stay," he said carefully. "Just need repairs. Maybe send a message home." The queen tilted her head. "You can't leave. Not now. Not when the tribe has seen you." A strange tension filled the air. Jake's heart pounded. "Why? You don't understand," she said softly. "You are not just a man. You are the future of this world." The crowd murmured. Some smiled. Some looked ready to cry. One even fainted. Jake took a step back. "I didn't come here for this." Queen Terra's eyes flashed. Whether you came for us or not, you belong to us now. Jake looked at the warriors around him, at the locked doors, at the night sky beginning to fall. He was trapped. And every woman on this planet believed he was their salvation. Jake woke up on Silk Dot, not in his crashed pod. Not on jungle dirt, but on a bed wide, soft, and glowing faintly from beneath. He sat up fast. He wasn't alone. 6 alien women knelt at the corners of the room. Heads down, silent, motionless. They weren't guards. They looked more like servants or something else entirely. His gear was gone. His suit, his cum, everything. Where the hell am I? He whispered. Before anyone could answer, the door opened. The golden-skinned Queen Terra stepped in. Her robe shimmered like starlight. 2 warriors followed behind her, armed but relaxed. Jake stood. I don't know what game this is, but I want my gear back. And my freedom. She raised a hand, and the servants bowed lower. You are not a prisoner, Terra said. You are a gift. A gift we never expected. I'm not a gift, Jake snapped. I'm a human being. I want to leave. You crashed. You lived. And now ... You are in our sacred home. That is not a mistake. She paused. Let me show you. She turned and walked out. Jake hesitated but followed. The guards kept a soft distance behind. They walked through an open hall. On the walls, paintings made of glowing stone showed history. Men and women together. Then war, then silence, then only women. Hundreds of years of grief burned into stone. Our men died from a sickness. Their minds melted. Their bodies changed. None survived. We prayed for one to return. Then you fell from the sky. Jake frowned. Still doesn't explain why you're treating me like some kind of prize. She stopped at a high balcony. Below, thousands of alien women had gathered, all facing the palace. All waiting. Queen Terra raised her arms. My people. She shouted. Her voice echoed through the air. The prophecy is true. The Starman has returned. After 105 years of silence, we will have hope again. The crowd erupted. Cheers, cries, chants. Jake's blood ran cold. Wait, what prophecy? She turned to him. Her eyes softened. That you would come. That you would awaken our future. That our bloodline would not fade. I'm not here to awaken anything, Jake said. She stepped closer. You will not be forced. But understand, the women here, they've never seen a man, never touched one, never known one. He looked into the crowd. Thousands of eyes on him. Faces full of longing, joy, desperation. Terra continued. By dawn you will choose one woman to bond with. Our customs demand it. The first night sets the path for all others. Jake stepped back. That's not how humans do things. This is not Earth, she said gently. And you are not just a human anymore. You are the first male. He stared at her, speechless. She leaned in closer and whispered, choose wisely, because after that, you will never be alone again. Jake waited until the night grew silent. He had to move. He had to think. And he had to do it away from the Queen's eyes. His private guest chamber was beautiful, but it had no windows, no weapons, and only one door, guarded day and night. Except tonight. It wasn't. He'd been pretending to sleep for hours. Then suddenly, the guard was gone. No footsteps. No sound. Jake stepped out carefully, scanning the dark corridor. Empty. Too easy, he thought. He slipped barefoot through the halls, past statues of long-dead kings, painted stories, and glowing vines that whispered when touched, but the deeper he went, the colder it became. He found a narrow stairway behind a broken wall. It led underground. Moss clung to the walls. The scent of wet stone filled the air. And then he heard it, a faint voice. He's not the only one. Jake froze. Another Voice replied, "The queen lies to control them." Just like she did with the last one. Jake's heartbeat pounded. He stepped closer to the source. He peeked around a corner and saw a hidden chamber lit by a strange blue fire. 6 alien women sat in a circle, none dressed like warriors or priestesses. They looked like survivors, tired, scarred, and watching the shadows more than the flames. "He's human," one said. "He doesn't know what happened to the last chosen male." Jake stepped out. "What happened to him?" The women jumped. One drew a knife. Another moved to hide. "Wait," Jake raised his hands. "I'm not with the queen. Just trying to understand." They stared at him, suspicious, angry, surprised. One of them, older, stepped forward. Her voice was rough. "She told us he escaped. That he abandoned us." Jake shook his head. "She said I was the first male here in 105 years. The woman's eyes burned. "That's a lie." Jake's chest tightened. "Then what really happened?" They hesitated. Finally, the old woman pointed to the wall. On it was a carving, faded and scratched but clear. A man, surrounded, chained, sacrificed, she called him a god. She promised him freedom, but once he chose a mate. They took him, he was used, then vanished. Jake backed away. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because we were his friends," another woman said softly. "We tried to help. We were banished here, forgotten." "You mean?" "There are people who don't follow the queen." "Many," the older woman nodded, "but none dare speak. You are the first light to enter this cave in years." Jake felt dizzy. Everything, the smiles, the ceremony, the attention, was part of a story he didn't write. "What happens if I refuse to choose?" he asked. "They won't let you," the old woman said. "Once the sun rises, the queen will not ask again. She will take." Jake looked at the flickering flame. "I need a way out," he said. "There has to be a ship, or comes something." "There is," she whispered. "The queen keeps it beneath the temple, locked, guarded. But there's a path, an old servant tunnel. Only a few know it still exists." "Show me," Jake said. "I'm not going to be the next gift." The old woman smiled bitterly. "Then you must hurry. You have until dawn." Just then, the stone above shook. Voices echoed down. "Search the lower levels." "He's missing." Jake's breath caught. "They've noticed," said one of the exiles. The old woman looked at Jake. "Go, we will distract them. But if you are caught, you will never leave this planet." Asterisk drums echoed across the night sky. From every rooftop, every tree, every corner of the village, alien women gathered, thousands of them. The giant courtyard outside the temple pulsed with glowing lights. Fires burned high. Flowers dropped from balconies. The scent of heat, sweat, and excitement filled the air. Tonight was the night of choosing. At the center of it all stood Jake, dressed in ceremonial robes too thin for the cold night air, placed on a raised stone stage like an offering. He hated every second of it. He scanned the crowd. Their faces looked hungry, not for food, but for something deeper. Some had eyes full of hope. Others looked like they were already dreaming of holding his hand. Or his child. Jake whispered under his breath, "This is madness." Queen Terra stood beside him, tall and glowing, her crown now lit with blue flames. "Tonight, you choose your mate, the first one. More will come in time, if your body survives." He turned to her, voice low. "This isn't love, it's control." She smiled without humor. "Call it what you like. But tradition binds us all." Then she raised her arm, and the drums stopped. Silenced. The queen's voice rang through the air. "He walks alone tonight. He shall walk the circle of touch and choose the one who will bear the first flame." The crowd erupted in cheers. Jake's heart pounded. In front of him, a long pathway of women stood in 2 lines, 50 of them. Each one dressed in colors that represented their clan: hunters, scholars, warriors. Dreamers. He was expected to walk between them, touch the shoulder of the one he wanted. Then the bond would begin. Jake stepped forward. Slowly. 1 step. 2. The women watched him like statues. Some bit their lips. Others couldn't hide their shivers. One even whispered, "Please, choose me." He kept walking. 10 steps. He looked at a warrior, tall, strong, confident. Her hands trembled as he passed. 20 steps. He passed a woman, with vines wrapped in her hair. Her eyes were kind. Her breath caught when their eyes met. 30 steps. A younger girl, maybe barely of age, almost fainted as he walked past. The pressure pressed into his chest. He reached the end of the path. He had touched no one. The crowd gasped. Tara's smile fell. Jake turned back. Loud and clear, he said, "I choose no one." Silence. And then chaos. Shouting, crying, anger. The queen raised both arms to calm them, but even her voice couldn't control the roar of confusion. Jake stayed firm. "You said I must choose. But I choose my freedom." The queen's eyes darkened. "You mock our sacred right." "I never agreed to it," he said. "I don't belong to anyone. I'm not a god. I'm just a man who crashed here. That's all." Tara stepped forward. Her voice became sharp. "You walk as if you have a choice. But you forget you were never meant to leave." Jake turned. That's when he saw the guards closing in. 6 of them, armed, quiet, trained. From the shadows, someone ran into the light. It was her. The quiet girl from the exile cave, the one who had shown him the servant tunnel. Her eyes met his for half a second. Then she shouted, "Run!" Jake didn't. "Wait." He threw off the ceremonial robe and bolted across the stage. The crowd screamed. Guards pushed through the women. The queen shouted, "Seize him." The girl tossed a glowing stone to the ground. Flash grenade. Light exploded. Jake dove into the side corridor. Smoke. Screams. Chants turning to chaos. He didn't stop running. Jake hid beneath the roots of a giant glowing tree. His lungs burned. His legs ached. His heart felt like it might crack his ribs open. Sweat ran down his face, but he didn't dare move. Not even to wipe it away. Above him, searchlights flickered. Voices echoed through the jungle in the alien language. "Find the male. Check the river. Alive or injured, bring him back." Jake gritted his teeth. They don't want a man. They want a symbol. A trophy. Footsteps. Passed just above. Heavy. Armed. Then silence. He waited. 5 minutes. 10. Then a hand touched his shoulder. He spun around, ready to punch, but stopped. It was her, the quiet exile girl, the one who'd saved him twice now. She crouched beside him, breathing fast but calm. "You can't hide here," she whispered. "They've sent the Fire Sisters. They'll burn the whole forest to find you." Jake leaned back, trying to calm his breathing. "Let them try. I'm done running." She tilted her head. "Are you?" He looked at her. Her face was soft, dirt on her cheek, hair tied back, not royalty, not a warrior, just someone real. He sighed. "No, I'm not." She reached into her pack and handed him a black stone. It buzzed faintly. "What is it?" he asked. "A dead cum," she said, "but with enough heat, it can send one message, one burst, one chance." Jake held it tightly. "And the tunnel? You said there was a path to the temple's lower levels." She nodded. "But it's guarded now. The queen's furious. Half the tribe wants your blood. The other half," he raised an eyebrow. "What?" "They're praying to you." Jake blinked. "What?" She looked at him carefully. "They think you're the storm that will break the cage, that the queen's rule is over. Some of the younger women, they've never believed in the right. They think love can't be forced." Jake sat down, suddenly exhausted. "I didn't ask for any of this." She sat beside him. "I know. That's why they trust you." Far away, in the heart of the glowing city, Queen Terra paced in her throne room. Her face was calm, but her hands were shaking. An elder woman approached her. He broke tradition. That alone is punishable by death. No, Terra snapped. Not yet. Then what? The elder whispered. He shamed you. He rejected the right. The tribes are splitting. You're losing control. The queen stared. Out the window. Thousands of women were arguing below. Some holding fire. Others holding flowers. A crowd torn in two. Then she spoke, cold and flat. Let the fire rise. Let the fools scream. But I will remind them. Why we never let a man rule anything. Back in the jungle, Jake and the girl reached an old ruin. Vines covered it. Time had forgotten it. But inside, it was warm, quiet, and untouched. Torches flickered on old stone walls. Symbols of peace and war carved side by side. This used to be a temple, the girl whispered, before the queen rewrote everything. Jake looked at the carvings, men and women standing together, equal, not worshipped, not feared. What happened to these people? She didn't answer. He sat down against the wall. If I get caught, what will they do to me? She looked at him for a long moment. Same thing they did to the last one. Use you, drain you, then erase you. Jake closed his eyes. Then I'm not running anymore. I'm fighting. The girl stepped forward. Then you need help. From the shadows, a dozen more figures stepped out, young alien women, some dressed as workers, others as hunters. None of them had weapons, but their eyes were sharp, clear. We've been waiting, one of them said. You just had to say it. Jake stood up slowly. Say what? The girl looked him in the eyes. That you're done being the queen's male and ready to be our human. Asterisk, the temple was colder than Jake remembered. Stone walls stretched high, painted with gold. And lies, the same place he stood days ago, on display like a prize, was now silent, deserted, no drums. No crowd. Just him. And the girl who led him here, she called herself Sira now. It was the first time she'd told him her name. Are you sure about this? She whispered. Jake nodded. If the signal system's in the lower vault, it's the only shot I have. They moved through the shadows, Sira leading the way, bare feet silent against the stone. She knew every turn, every guard path. She had once served here, long before being cast out. The hallway opened into a circular chamber. Ancient, tech-lined. The walls cracked screens, dust-covered panels. In the center, a dormant satellite beacon. Jake's eyes lit up. That's it. Sira moved to the door and locked it from the inside. Make it quick. Jake knelt and connected the black stone device she gave him earlier. Sparks jumped. Lights flickered. The beacon hummed back to life. Jake activated the message module. He kept it short. This is Commander Jake Morgan, alive, trapped on unknown. Class M planet. Need immediate evac. Locals are not hostile, but their queen is. Coordinates uploading. Just then a soft sound behind him. A footstep. Jake turned. Sira wasn't by the door anymore. She stood behind him, holding a curved blade. His chest tightened. What are you doing? Her voice was shaking. I didn't want to, but they threatened my sister. Said they'd burn the exile caves if I didn't bring you back alive. Jake stepped back. You lied? No, she whispered. I meant everything I said. But they're watching me, always. Before he could react, the door burst open. Queen Terra's guards flooded in. Jake raised his fists, but it was useless. 4 of them tackled him down. Another knocked the beacon offline. The queen entered slowly, silent, glowing with quiet rage. Jake fought against the guards. This was never about tradition. This was always control. Terra knelt in front of him. Everything must be controlled, human. Chaos is what killed our men. Now we rule with order. We survived for 105 years without you. We will survive again after you're gone. She turned to Sira. You did well. Sira looked down, ashamed. Jake's voice was low. I trusted you. I'm sorry, she whispered, not looking at him. But it's not over. The guards dragged Jake to the altar in the center of the room, once used for bonding rituals. Now it looked more like a cage. Chains, straps, symbols etched in blood. Wait, Jake struggled. This isn't a ceremony. This is punishment. Queen Terra circled him like a vulture. This is the final rite. If you won't choose, then you'll be claimed. He thrashed against the restraints. I'm not yours. No, she smiled. You're ours. Suddenly, boom. The wall exploded. Dust and smoke filled the room. Screams, flashes of red light. The rebellion had arrived. Young women with stolen weapons. Fire in their eyes. Led by the very exiles the queen had forgotten. Sira used the distraction. She threw a hidden blade to Jake. He caught it, cut the strap, rolled off the altar, and fought. Side by side with the rebels, he pushed back the guards. The queen screamed orders, but her voice was drowned in the chaos. Jake turned to Sira. You brought them? I told you it wasn't over, she said, eyes wet. They ran, dodging smoke and lasers, down the collapsing hallway, back into the wild night. Dawn rose over a broken city. The fires still burned in the outer walls of the Queen's temple. Smoke curled into the sky, mixing with the soft pink light of morning. The air smelled like ash. And freedom. Jake stood on the highest balcony, blood on his shirt, dirt on his hands, breath still heavy from the night before. The rebellion had won. Queen Terra was gone, her rule shattered, her crown melted and tossed into the river. Some said she escaped into the wildlands. Others whispered she had been taken by her own guard in the chaos. Jake didn't care. He wasn't here to rule. He was here to choose, but not in the way they expected. Behind him, the Council of Tribes waited, leaders, rebels, healers, and workers. Many had never spoken in a council before. Now they were all equal. Sira stood beside him, her arm still bruised from the fight. She hadn't spoken much since the betrayal, but she hadn't left his side either. Jake stepped forward to speak. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. They all leaned in to hear every word. I didn't come here to save anyone. I was never meant to be your god, your seed, or your symbol. I'm just a man, flesh and blood, like the ones you lost. I can't replace them, and I won't let myself be used the same way. He looked out at the crowd, thousands of alien women, most of them young, watching with wide, quiet eyes. You don't need a male to lead you. You need truth. You need choice. He turned to the council. No more rights, no more forced bonds, no more chains hidden under flowers. Silence. Then someone clapped. Another joined. Then 100. Then all of them. But Jake raised his hand. I'm not finished. The clapping stopped. He looked at Sira. I was lied to, betrayed, hunted, but not by all of you. He stepped down from the balcony, walked through the crowd, stopped in front of her. I could leave now. The signal was sent. A rescue ship is already coming. Murmurs rose in the crowd. But if I do leave, he said, I'm taking one truth with me. He turned back to Sira. That freedom isn't given. It's chosen. He held out his hand. Not a demand, not a command. Just a question spoken with open fingers. She hesitated, then slowly. She placed her hand in his. The crowd didn't cheer. They simply watched. And for once, they understood. This wasn't about who he picked. It was about the fact he got to choose. And so did she. Together, they walked down the steps of the palace. No guards, no chains, no queen, no throne. Just a man and a woman. Equal. Later that day, Jake stood near the crash site where it all began. The grass had grown over some of the wreckage, as if the world wanted to forget he ever fell from the sky. The clouds shifted. A sound split the silence. A ship. Metal. Earth. Made. He looked up as it descended, landing gently in the clearing. He didn't move. Ciro walked beside him. Is that home? He nodded. It used to be. And now? He smiled. Now, I'm not sure. She looked up at the ship, then back at him. You can go. I could, he said. But I won't. Final scene, Jake and Ciro walk away from the ship hand in hand into a world they would rebuild together. Not as ruler and servant, not as legend and believer, but as partners. The end if you had to choose between freedom and power. Which would you take? Let us know in the comments.